Well, good day, everybody. I'm Russ Reed, and I'm the Executive Director of the National Center for the Biotechnology Workforce, located at Forsyth Technical Community College. And I'm joined today by Dr. Matthew Carter, who's Vice President of Post-Marketing Engineering Group over at Cook Medical. And Cook Medical is a local business here in Winston-Salem. It's actually a very global business, but at the same time, it has a very sizable operations here in Winston-Salem. And we're very, very proud to have you here today. Dr. Carter, welcome.
Thank you, Russ. Thank you for the invitation.
And backing us up, as usual, is Sean Killebrew, who's our expert media tech. So, Matthew, if things don't go too well, we can always splice it.
Okay, great.
SciTech is something we've been doing at the college now for over 10 years. Dr. Carter, and actually we've had over 4,000 people see or attend SciTech. And in actual fact, what it is to try to connect to the community with some of our leaders like yourself to be able to understand what kinds of things are happening in technology. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention who helps us make this possible. Well, obviously, Cook Medical helps us make this possible, but so does the North Carolina Biotechnology Center, North Carolina Bio, and as well the Forsyth Tech Foundation. So welcome. So Matthew, I'm going to just ask you a few questions, and it's a very relaxed interview. And I would just like to have you keep in the back of your mind that the audience for this will be the students, staff, faculty at the college, and as well as some of our community. So I hope that gives you some insight as to whom you're speaking to.
Thank you.
My first question is, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your current position at Cook Medical?
Sure. I'm not very interesting, Russ. My experience and professional experience in education really has been based around engineering and management, some industrial manufacturing and systems design. I've worked on teams that designed and installed original equipment for different industrial applications. Many, of course, had fewer constraints and regulations than the medical device industry that I'm in now. Early on, it was really more of OSHA and safety and environment, the environmental things. At Cook, I've had the opportunity to work in manufacturing and new product development over the years. I've been a part of teams that develop new products and teams that maintain manufacturing lines for existing products. We also have, looked for new market opportunities and certainly making sure that our products continue to maintain global compliance across the world. So in my current position at Cook, my responsibilities include managing teams that provide the technical support for our manufacturing facility, maintaining our manufacturing lines. We look for opportunities to make improvements. We have teams that focus on the daily manufacturing support, the continuous improvement opportunities, and reducing waste throughout the plant, implementing automation, new technologies into the plant, and identifying and implementing product improvements to open new global markets, or like I said, maintain and meet global regulatory standards that are ever changing, it seems like.
Well, that's a great answer, and thank you. And it actually opens to the next question, which really, if you could give us a little bit of a background as to what Cook Medical does in Winston-Salem. And the second part of the question is, can you enlighten us on what kind of a technical workforce you have presently?
Sure. At Cook Medical here in Winston-Salem, we focus primarily on endoscopy. So, Russ, when you turn 50 years old and your doctor asks you to go in for a procedure, they usually use a scope that has a light on the end of it, and they take a look at the tissue in your esophagus and stomach, and so we make devices that go through that scope, and they're usually used in that procedure to visualize the gastrointestinal tract. They look for precancerous polyps and other potential issues. You can see here our primary focus is Been historically, again, around the esophagus, the liver, treating diseases there and helping doctors diagnose by providing tools that sample tissue and allow them to make diagnoses for people. So our main focus is on those types of devices. And our technical workforce needs include many things when you think about what technicians need, but we're designing products, we are implementing new technologies, we are communicating globally on teams around the world, working together with our sister companies around the world. So, a lot of the technical needs that we've had, certainly in the past and even currently, focus a lot on the technical baseline, if you will, or the core things, and certainly being part of SciTech Community College, those skills that a lot of folks get through those programs are very key. So, whatever technical area of expertise you're studying, we probably need those and use those people. So whether it's, electrical wiring of components, whether it's project management for teams, whether it's mechanical design of tools and fixtures and things. It's a lot of problem solving using technical knowledge and then applying that to build tools and things to solve problems.
Dr. Carter, you have, over the course of this interview, mentioned the word team very frequently. And, in our work, where we have actually looked at the skills that entry-level technicians need, one of the very, very big skill set that comes up all the time are people skills. And would you say that that's a fairly high need in the types of people that you're wanting to engage and hire at Cook Medical?
I would. The ability to communicate is so important. And, the world has changed a lot with the technologies and things that we have access to today that, even 5 or 10 years ago, we didn't have. If you think about the ability to share information on different platforms, the ability to understand these tools and use them to communicate with people is really important. I mean, from the simplest thing too, being able to visually, very simply communicate key information to different groups is a real skill. Some people are able to do that, and sometimes it's difficult to do. And then being able to have that information available and to share it in different forums is really important.
Well, thank you for that answer, and I appreciate that. If we were looking going forward in how you've mentioned in the last few statements that there's been a lot of change in the last 5 years, can you kind of project forward and anticipate what you think are some of the needs that people will have to enter the skilled technical workforce going forward?
Sure. I'll start, if you think about the traditional thoughts of technicians and what we need them to do, and kind of building on your previous question there, manufacturing is kind of surrounded by all these core technical needs. And, if you look to the future, I say the immediate future here, but soon, what we're seeing is the immediate future involves a lot of this digital data. And, the internet and having the ability to communicate without necessarily pulling a wire from one part of the plant to another is really opening a lot of interesting opportunities. When you start to think about just the technical aspect of it is really changing, and the internet is driving a lot of that. We have the ability to have not only people but the equipment that we design and implement and install communicate with one another and start to have these data interactions that will help us make decisions. And when I think about the skills that are going to be important, uh, I think that data, technology, people, they're very much like gears that are always working together, the interaction of which is continuing to increase. The things are changing. They've always changed, but I would say my experience is that they change faster than they feel like they did not too long ago. The productivity demands are increasing, and the main thing is that things just don't stay the same. And these advanced manufacturing environments are requiring that we have some ability to interact on not only the technical side, which I think preparing technicians, and again, the traditional thought of a technician being this hands-on technical person that can design equipment or build equipment or machine equipment or whatever and hand it over is certainly important. Those will always be important. Those skills are key, and they will continue to be so. But now we start to see our needs, as you were talking about, the ability to work together. And the technologies we have today, whether it be cell phones or email or text or WebEx, team web, Microsoft Teams, whatever it might be. Now you have to be able to not only interact with those, but then communicate and share information in meaningful ways all over the planet. And so that is a real skill that's important. The teamwork piece of it, I feel like data is so critical to what we do, and I know we've talked in the past, and it's a bit just the way I see the world is a bit like constantly performing little science fair experiments. You're always trying to solve a problem and looking at the opportunities and the best ways you think there are to solve those problems. And then you're doing some tests to see if you met that problem and you solved it. And if so, did you create some other problems? So you're kind of always going through that loop of trying to figure out what it is that you need to do and did you do it well. And then as we are growing in this digital world and these new technologies are out there, you're actually bringing in and having access to team members that maybe historically you didn't. You don't necessarily have to be in Winston-Salem to work on designing a piece of equipment and installing it in Winston. You can be in Ireland. You can be anywhere,
Mm-hmm. So, Dr. Carter, that is to me very enlightening, and so it leaves me with another question for you, which is, do you have any other thoughts for our students in particular who are graduating and looking maybe to go into a career in advanced manufacturing, such as happens at Cook Medical here in Winston-Salem?
I think that, if I was giving someone some advice, a student that's looking at the area, I think that recognizing, and it's not just this area, but recognizing that we live in a connected universe. Manufacturing environments are becoming more and more connected, like other environments are. It's important that you gather and interact with it, data and information. That's a constant and will continue to be constant. I think showing the ability to be a good communicator is a skill that can really help you stand out. It can help when you're being considered for positions or working in companies. Critical thinking is important, and if you're going through a technical program, likely you are going to be good at critical thinking and problem solving. But again, getting into some of these, I call them softer skills for lack of a better word, but the ability to interact and communicate with people and share that information in a meaningful way is really important. And if you have some projects you've worked on, if you have had some opportunities to show that, hey, one of the things I'm aware of is that You need to be able to communicate. And here are some examples of where I've done it with different groups. That can be pretty powerful. I've listed here on the slide a few things, but if you recognize we're always going to be talking about people. We spend a lot of time talking about machines, right? But those machines require people. You have to interact with them, program them. Oftentimes we have smart robotic arms and things that are interacting with an operator. So there's always people involved, no matter what we're doing. So that communication piece and having good technical writing and things like that are very important, and they can really help take a student and say, wow, this is something different here. What is it that makes this person stand out? And if they're really good at communicating and talking to people and sharing information in meaningful ways using these new technologies, that's powerful, and we're going to see it more and more and more, I think.
Dr. Carter, we have an NSF grant that we've been working on for the past few years. I know you're aware of it, but it's called Biomedical Emerging Technology Applications, and it's really looking at skills of the future. And I'm just delighted with your slide because everything matches up. And so it proves that our hard work is actually going in the right direction. I want to thank you, Dr. Carter, for spending time with us today, and I also want to thank you a little bit beyond for what you've done today, because you've been so supportive of us at the college. But beyond the college, there have been several occasions where we've asked you to speak with our NSF partners, and so on behalf of them and the NSF Advanced Technological Education Division and ourselves at the National Center, I want to really thank you for your dedication and your very plain talk. Sometimes it's not easy, as you say, to communicate at a level where everybody can comprehend. And I think that you're just very naturally gifted at that. And I think that if our students and our staff and faculty can see this in this interview, I think it'll be a great lesson to our future students who will be your future employers. So I want to thank you today for joining us.
Well, thank you, Russ. I appreciate that. And, I just don't know a lot of very big words too. You might consider that. The topic is something that I care a lot about. Education and students are something that I'm interested in and certainly supportive of. So I'm happy to help any way I can. And again, thank you for the invitation. I'm glad to represent our company today.
Thank you, and I really appreciate it. And Sean, I want to thank you for, as usual, for helping us out and making the media portion of this a success.